Today, we continue with verse 2 of the Dhammapada. Mind precedes all phenomena. Mind is their chief. Mind-made are they. If one speaks or acts with a purified mind, happiness follows thereafter, like a shadow that never departs from the form. This verse was taught by the Buddha at Savath, based on the story of Mathakundali. Thus have I heard, at Savath, there lived a Brahmin named Adinapubaka, which means one who does not give, for he never gave anything to anyone. He had an only son whom he cherished deeply, wishing to give his son an ornament, yet knowing that hiring a goldsmith would require paying a fee. He himself hammered a piece of gold thin and fashioned it into a pair of shining earrings for his son to wear. Because of this, his son came to be called Mathakundali, meaning shining earrings. When the boy reached the age of 16, he fell ill with jaundice. Seeing this, the mother became deeply anxious and urged her husband to invite a physician to treat their son. Although he loved the boy, the father hesitated and was unwilling to do so. He therefore sought excuses to evade the matter and said to his wife, "Woman, if we call a physician, I will have to pay the fee in rice and grain, and our storehouses will be diminished. Why do you pay no attention at all to preserving my property?" The mother, however, remained steadfast in her concern for her child. "Then what is to be done? What do you intend to do for our son?" "Do not worry," he replied. "I will arrange things so that not a single coin is spent." Thus, he went from one physician to another, devising ways to question them indirectly in order to obtain a remedy for his son's illness. "Good sir, if you were to encounter a person afflicted with such and such a disease, how would you normally treat it, and what medicine would you prescribe?" They immediately listed various kinds of tree bark, the names of the trees, and their alternative names. The Brahmin then went about gathering all kinds of bark and forest leaves, brought them home, and prepared medicine for his son. Yet despite exhausting every means, the boy's condition worsened day by day. Finally, when there was no remedy left, he summoned an actual physician. Seeing how extremely weak the young man was, the physician tactfully declined. "I am presently occupied with an important matter. Please invite another physician to provide treatment. I am very sorry." And he hurriedly left the house, seeing that his son was near death. Although he was filled with sorrow, the Brahmin did not forget his miserly nature and his obsessive guarding of wealth. He ordered that his son be carried out of the house and laid on the front threshold, for he feared that those who might come to visit the boy would also cast their eyes upon the property inside. That very morning, at dawn, the Blessed One emerged from the attainment of great compassion in order to see who had made aspirations in the presence of past Buddhas, who possessed fully matured, wholesome roots, and which spiritual friends were capable of going forth into homelessness. He surveyed with the Buddha eye, extending his vision throughout the 10 directions of the world. He then saw Mathakundali lying at the point of death on the threshold of his house. The teacher immediately knew that the young man had just been carried out of the house and laid there, and he also knew that the young man had a karmic connection with the Buddha. Having placed his faith in the Buddha, he would soon die and be reborn in the heaven of the 33, dwelling in a palace of gold, attended by 1,000 celestial maidens. The Brahmin would cremate his son's body and then wander about the cremation ground, weeping and lamenting. The Deva would behold himself, his body 3 leagues in height, adorned with 60 cartloads of ornaments, surrounded by 1,000 celestial maidens. He would wonder by what merit he had obtained such an exalted result, and then realize that it was due to faith. Then he would see his father, who in the past had refused to provide proper medical care, now walking about the cremation ground, crying in grief. At that moment, the Deva would resolve to bring about a transformation in his father's disposition. Moved by compassion for his father, the Deva would transform himself into the form of Mata Kundali and go to the cremation ground, casting himself upon the ground and weeping. The Brahmin would ask, "Who are you?" The Deva would reply, "I am Mata Kundali, your son. Where have you been?" "Reborn." The Brahmin would ask, "In the heaven of the 33. The Brahmin would then ask further, "By what merit did you attain this rebirth?" Through faith in the Buddha, still not fully convinced, the Brahmin would question the Blessed One again. "Are there any who, through faith in the Buddha, are reborn in the heavens?" The Blessed One would reply, "It is not merely hundreds, nor thousands, nor hundreds of thousands. Countless beings attain such rebirth." Then, the Blessed One would recite a verse from the Dhammapada. At the conclusion of that verse, 84,000 beings would gain the purified eye of the Dhamma. Mata Kundali would attain the fruit of stream entry, and the Brahmin Adinapubhaka would likewise attain that same fruition. Thus, through this noble young man, many people would gain the purified eye of the Dhamma. Knowing all of this in advance, as already related, on the following day, after attending to his bodily needs, the Blessed One entered the city of Savatkosar for alms, accompanied by a company of bhikkhus. Along the way, the Buddha stopped at the house of the Brahmin. At that time, Mata Kundali was lying with his face turned toward the inside of the house. Knowing that the young man could not see him, the Buddha emitted a ray of radiance. The young man, astonished and unsure what the light was, turned his face outward, intending to ask, and then saw the Blessed One. He thereupon spoke respectfully, "Because of my foolish father, I have not received the blessing of coming into the presence of the Venerable Buddha. I have not been able to attend upon you, to offer you alms, or to hear the Dhamma. Now my hands can no longer move, and there is nothing I am able to do." Having spoken thus, he placed complete faith in the Buddha. The teacher, pleased, said, "That is sufficient," and he went on his way. As the Blessed One gradually passed out of sight, the young man breathed his last, with faith in his heart, and as if awakening from sleep, he was reborn in the heavenly realm, exactly as the Buddha had foreseen. Later, when the Brahmin encountered him, standing and weeping at the cremation ground, he recited verses to ask the reason. Adorned with splendid ornaments, golden earrings gleaming bright, wearing garlands inlaid with sandalwood, twisting your hands and weeping bitterly. "Why do you suffer so deeply in this desolate place?" The young man replied, "The precious chariot, my very body, shining with solid gold. Its wheels cannot be found. In sorrow, I shall surely perish." The Brahmin said, "Are those wheels made of gold, or of silver, of copper, or of precious jewels and diamonds? Tell me clearly, and without concealment, and I shall procure them all for you." The young man was struck by the Brahmin's attitude. Earlier, when his own son was ill, the Brahmin had been miserly and unwilling to summon a physician. Yet now, seeing someone he took to be his son, he did not hesitate to promise wheels made of gold, diamonds, or silver. Wishing therefore to tease him, the young man asked, "How large shall the pair of wheels you make for my chariot be?" "As large as you desire," replied the Brahmin. "I wish to have the sun and the moon as my wheels. Provide them for me." The young man said to the Brahmin, "Ah, the moon and the sun are twin companions in the sky. My chariot is fashioned from solid gold, and how splendid it would be, adorned with wings as well." The Brahmin replied, "You are truly a foolish man, seeking things that are far beyond reach. I fear that you will perish, for how could the sun and moon ever be obtained?" But the young man countered, "Yet who is more foolish, the one who weeps for what exists, or the one who weeps for what does not exist? The radiant sun and moon come and go. Here and there they are always seen, never mistaken. Your son is dead and cannot be seen again. Who, then is the foolish one who weeps for him day after day. Hearing this, the Brahmin was as if suddenly awakened. Seeing the young man's reasoning, he concluded, "Of the two who weep in bitter lament, I am indeed the one most foolish, like a child crying for the moon above. So I have longed for a son who has already died." Freed of his sorrow through the young man's explanation, the Brahmin offered his praise. "I was like a blazing fire for which pouring oil could never bring an end. You were like a sudden rainstorm, extinguishing my grief. What joy could be greater? The arrow of piercing sorrow lodged deep within my heart. Through you it has been drawn out, leaving no entanglement behind. Now I dwell in gladness and serenity, no longer weeping, your counsel firmly held in my heart." Then the Brahmin asked, "Who are you? Are you a Deva, a Gandhava, or the exalted Sakka? Who are you? Whose son are you? How am I to know?" The young man replied, "I am the one for whom you wept in sorrow. I am your son, whose body was burned here through the performance of meritorious deeds. How precious! At the moment of my last breath, I was reborn in the heavenly realm." At this point, the Brahmin understood the entire account. Yet one doubt still remained in his mind. While you were bent over at home, not even a little did you give in offering. You did not even observe abstinence from food. By what merit, then, were you reborn in heaven? The young man answered, "When I was lying at home, suffering grievously from a severe illness, I was fortunate to behold the Buddha, one free from craving and doubt, abiding in peace, supreme in wisdom. Faith arose within me. I bowed with joined palms in reverence. Immediately thereafter, I was reborn in the heaven of the 33. Hearing these words, the Brahmin's body and mind were filled with joy, and he uttered words of praise. Wonderful indeed, marvelous indeed. Through reverence, such a result is attained, filled with joy and firm faith. Today, I take refuge in the Buddha." The young man replied in turn, "Today, having taken refuge in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, with faith, you should receive and uphold the 5 precepts, maintaining them fully without transgression. From this moment on, refrain from taking life. Do not take what is not given. Do not drink intoxicants. Do not speak falsely. Be faithful to your wife." The Brahmin consented and spoke this verse, "O noble Brahma being, you who wish me well, you who wish me happiness, I shall follow your counsel. You are my teacher. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dhamma and the Sangha. From this day onward, I abandon killing. I do not take what is not given. I do not drink intoxicants or speak falsely, and I remain faithful to my wife." Before taking his leave, the Deva offered words of counsel. "Brahmin, you possess great wealth. Go to the teacher, make offerings, listen to the Dhamma, and ask questions." Having said this, he vanished. The Brahmin, filled with joy and delight, returned home and instructed his wife, "Woman, I shall invite the ascetic Gautama to our house and put questions to him. Make preparations to receive him." He then went to the monastery without paying homage to the Buddha, and without expressing any joy at seeing him. He stood to one side and said, "Venerable Gautama, may you and the community of monks accept my invitation to partake of a meal at my house today." The teacher accepted. The Brahmin then hastened back home to prepare both hard and soft foods. The Blessed One, together with the Sangha, came to his house, sat in the place prepared for them, and was respectfully attended to by the Brahmin. A large crowd, uninvited, also gathered without delay. Whenever an outsider invites the Buddha, 2 kinds of people assemble. Those holding wrong views come thinking, "Today, we shall see the ascetic Gautama, confounded by a barrage of questions." Those holding right views come thinking, "Today, we shall witness the majesty and excellence of the Buddha." When the Blessed One had finished his meal, the Brahmin approached him, sat down in a lower place, and asked, Venerable Gautama, is there anyone who is reborn in heaven, not because he has made offerings to you or praised you, nor because he has listened to the Dhamma or observed fasting, but solely through a single act imbued with faith? Brahmin, why do you ask me? Replied the teacher. Has not your son, Mata Kundali, already told you that he was reborn in heaven through faith in me? When did he do so? Venerable Gautama, was it not today that you went to the cremation ground? And while you were weeping, you saw a young man also lamenting in distress. And did you not ask, adorned with splendid ornaments, golden earrings gleaming bright, wearing garlands inlaid with sandalwood? The teacher then went on to recount clearly and in detail the entire dialogue between father and son, relating in full the story of Mata Kundali. On this account, the Buddha declared, Brahman, it is not merely 100 or 200. There are countless beings who, by placing faith in me, are reborn in the heavenly realms. Seeing that the crowd still harbored doubts, the teacher commanded, Brahmadeva Mata Kundali, come here with your celestial palace. Immediately, Mata Kundali appeared, his body nearly a league in height, adorned with numerous celestial ornaments descending from his palace. The Brahmadeva paid homage to the teacher and then stood respectfully to one side. The Buddha asked, what meritorious deeds did you perform to receive such a reward? O Brahmadeva, endowed with surpassing beauty, radiant in all directions, like the stars of the sky, O being of extraordinary power, what merit did you perform while living? After the Buddha recited this verse, the Brahmadeva replied, Venerable Blessed One, I have received this exalted reward. Through faith and reverence in you, you attained rebirth in heaven through faith in me. Yes, Venerable Blessed One, the crowd beheld the Deva and joyfully exclaimed, the power of the Buddhas is truly wondrous. The son of the Brahmin Adinapubhaka has obtained such a reward solely through faith in the Buddha, not through any other meritorious deeds. The teacher then expounded, mind is the root of action, both wholesome and unwholesome. It is mind that governs action, for deeds performed through faith follow a being in the human and heavenly realms, as a shadow follows the form. Then the king of the Dhamma, like a monarch, sealing a royal decree with the imperial signet after it has been bound, continued by reciting the Dhammapada verse, mind precedes all phenomena. Mind is their chief. Mind made are they. If one speaks or acts with a purified mind, happiness follows thereafter, like a shadow that never departs from the form. If this video causes your heart to soften and sink for a moment, pause and take a breath, not because you are weak and not because you are falling behind. It is simply that your mind is tired. In the Buddha's teaching, suffering does not arise because we move slowly. It arises when we force ourselves to run after things that do not truly belong to us. The world is always noisy, but a settled mind does not need to speak. True presence is not found in how often we appear before the eyes of others, but in whether we are genuinely awake in each moment of living. If these words reach you, leave a small dot in the comments, not to speak to me, but as a gentle reminder to yourself that you are still here. And if you wish to walk more slowly together, to look more deeply, and to live with greater awareness in a world that rushes too fast, stay by subscribing to the channel. Here, we do not run. We are simply learning how to return. Thank you for staying here with me today.